Well, good morning, folks. It is the 4th of December 2020, and welcome to another daily devotional. This morning, in my time with Jesus, I was in John chapter 13. And in John 13, Jesus says this to his disciples in verse 34. He says, "A new commandment I give to you, love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also are to love one another. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." There's a couple of summary statements in the Bible that just kind of sum up everything that God's saying. And Jesus, when he was asked what the greatest commandment was, he said, well, the greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength. And the second one is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. And when you boil it down, these two commandments, love God, love one another, are at the core of what the Christian faith is about. And Jesus goes to his disciples and he says, I want you to love one another. You see, loving God is great because God's amazing. Loving other people, that's where the challenge comes in. And loving other Christians, other people within your community of faith that you are living with day on day and you're rubbing against, and there's sparks and there's conflicts and there's all this kind of stuff. Loving one another is where the challenge comes in. See, in our day and age, it's all too easy if something happens within a church setting to get offended with one another and then just to leave the church and go to another church. But our call is to love one another. The disciples didn't have that option because there were no other churches. And so Jesus says, listen, you love one another the way that I have loved you. So how did Jesus love us? Well, he loved us unconditionally. He gave himself for us. He didn't count our sins against us. It wasn't, I love you, but it was unconditional love that accepted us where we were and transformed us and shaped us. And there is a transformative quality to the love that Jesus brings. So rather than get offended and just go to another place, we work through our issues and we work through the challenges of what loving one another actually means. That self-sacrificial love, that love that doesn't allow other people's wrongs to change what's on the inside of us. Because what's at stake here is the world, right? By this, all people will know that you are my disciples if you love one another. So what's the mark of being a disciple of Jesus Christ? It's loving one another. It's loving one another. That's where being a disciple of Jesus, that's where loving God, that's where the rubber meets the road. It's how we love one another. And so I want to encourage you guys, you know what? If there's offense, if there's unforgiveness in your life, just deal with it. Just get it sorted. Because if the world is going to know that we're disciples of Jesus, it's going to be because we love one another. Have a good day.